There is a war going on inside the American airgun industry right now. And most shooters have no idea it is happening. On one side, overpriced European boutique brands, $1,000 rifles, $1,500 rifles, beautiful machines that treat accuracy like a luxury only the wealthy deserve. On the other side, a factory in Bloomfield, New York, and a corporate team that just got tired of losing. In 2026, Benjamin and Crosman did not release a product update. They released a statement, 5 platforms, entry-level guns shooting match-grade groups, a big-bore bullpup pushing 300 foot-pounds out of a 36-inch package, and one clean-sheet flagship that just made half of Europe's finest look deeply overpriced. I tore every single one of these rifles apart, specs, ballistics, real-world ergonomics, and the deal breakers they do not put in the brochure. This is the definitive top 5 Benjamin and Crosman air rifles of 2026. Number 1 rewrote the rule book. Let's go. Rank 5 Crosman 3622, but at Blenheim, look, every list has to start somewhere. And if you think starting at $130 means starting weak, you have never shot a Crosman 3622. This thing should not exist at this price point. A dedicated PCP rifle, bolt action, tubular reservoir, synthetic stock with crisp deep molding that feels nothing like the hollow cheap plastic garbage flooding the budget sector. 4 pounds on the nose, 36 inches of pure utilitarian simplicity. Crosman built this rifle on the exact same chassis as their legendary 362 multi-pump, and that foundation shows in every dimension. Here is what makes the 3622 genuinely dangerous for its price class, the fill pressure, 2000 psi. That is it. You do not need a carbon fiber tank. You do not need an electric compressor running off your garage outlet. A basic manual hand pump gets this rifle to full pressure without turning your arms into rubber. For youth shooters, newcomers, or anyone dipping their toe into PCP ownership for the first time, that single engineering decision removes every barrier to entry. And the performance backs it up. Push 22 caliber pellets, 14.3 grain hollow points hit 697 feet per second. Step up to heavier 21.14 grain Barracuda match pellets, and you are pulling over 16 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. More than enough to ethically dispatch squirrels and rabbits at close range without destroying the meat. The rifle even pushes lightweight alloy pellets past 800 feet per second. Impressive output for an unregulated tube gun running 2000 psi. 27 consistent shots per fill. The balance point sits barely in front of the trigger guard, which means your support arm naturally locks against your chest during offhand shooting. Competitive trainers and youth coaches have quietly taken notice of this geometry. It is genuinely one of the best platforms available for building proper offhand shooting fundamentals without spending real money. Now the deal breaker, that trigger. It breaks between 4 pounds 7 ounces and 4 pounds 12 ounces depending on the sample. For a pesting or small game rifle where ethical, precise shot placement matters, that is a heavy, vague wall of resistance. The black metal coating on the barrel scratches embarrassingly easy right out of the box, and this is an unregulated platform. So velocity consistency will never match what a regulated rifle delivers at the same price. But here is the reality check. At $130, the Crosman 3622 is the absolute king of the entry-level PCP market. Nothing in this price bracket delivers this combination of shootability, low fill pressure, and genuine field performance. Street price is around $130. Moving on. Rank 4, Benjamin Kratos, stepping up the power and stepping up the class. There is a certain type of air gunner who looks at a black synthetic chassis rifle and feels nothing, no connection, no soul, just plastic and Picatinny rails. The Benjamin Kratos was built specifically for that shooter. Pull this rifle out of the box, and the first thing that hits you is the wood. Turkish Walnut. Genuine, ambidextrous, with an adjustable cheek piece, a drop-down pistol grip, and laser-cut stippling that gives your hand an immediate, authoritative purchase. Deep 4-inch section just past the trigger guard that steadies standing shots in a way no skinny synthetic forearm ever could. This is a rifle that looks like it belongs on a European gun rack, and it costs significantly less than anything that actually does. Under that walnut sits a highly refined Crowl Arms architecture. A massive 480cc aluminum HPA bottle feeds the system, operating up to 3,000 psi via a female Foster fitting. That air supply is enormous. On lower power settings in .22 caliber, the shot count feels effectively infinite for a day's pesting session. Dial up to full power in .25 caliber, and you are still pulling over 40 full power shots per fill, enough for a serious morning hunt without cracking open a tank. Here is the technical layer that separates the Kratos from budget bottle guns: the power wheel. 3 distinct index settings give the operator genuine, repeatable control over output without cracking open the action or touching a hex key. Switch settings in the field between a quiet, low-power mode for backyard work and a full-power hunting configuration in under 3 seconds. That is practical modularity built into the rifle's DNA, not bolted on as an afterthought. The side lever is feather light. Genuinely feather light, lighter than anything at this price point has any right to be. The 2-stage adjustable trigger comes refined straight from the factory, not requiring the break-in period or aftermarket trigger shoes that competitors demand. Point this rifle at a target at 25 yards with 14.3 grain Crosman Premier pellets, and the groups collapse into ragged single holes. Push out to 55 yards and you are still holding dime-sized clusters. The fully shrouded 19.5-inch barrel renders the report what the community accurately calls stupid quiet, suppression levels that embarrass many dedicated silencer setups. For those demanding absolute silence, users frequently add a 0 decibel airgun silencer using a Donnie FL half-inch 20 adapter, which keeps the shroud in place for barrel rigidity without altering the point of impact. Now, the deal breaker. 40 to 42 full power shots in .25 caliber sounds generous until you realize this is an unregulated platform. No regulator means no stage plenum pressure. Velocity consistency across that shot string will drift as bottle pressure drops, and serious hunters zeroing for specific downrange drop charts will feel that variance at distance. For pure pest control at moderate ranges, it matters little. But for hunters demanding shot-to-shot ballistic predictability on game, the absence of a regulator is a real conversation. Sets you back around $699. Now we get into the serious hunting rigs. Rank 3, Crosman Prospect. Now we get into the rifles that genuinely have no business existing at their price point. I know the traditional firearm guys are going to doubt this. A $370 air rifle delivering match-grade consistency. Go ahead and scroll to the comments and tell me I am wrong. But pull up any independent chronograph data on the Crosman Prospect and the numbers will shut that conversation down fast. 2.68 feet per second standard deviation across an entire shot string. Read that again. Competition rifles, rifles with 4-digit price tags, struggle to beat that number in controlled bench rest conditions. The Prospect does it at $369.99. That single metric tells you everything about what Velocity Outdoor engineered into this platform. Here is the mechanism behind that consistency. The Prospect runs an internal regulator factory set to 1,600 psi, fed from a maximum fill of 3,625 psi. That regulator stages a precise, repeatable volume of air into the plenum before every single shot. 7.9 grain Crosman Premier HP pellets leave the muzzle at virtually identical velocities, shot after shot, 67 times before the rifle falls off the regulator. 67 regulated shots on a tube reservoir PCP at this price. That is not a budget rifle stat. That is a precision tool stat. Muzzle performance is equally serious. In 177 caliber, lightweight 5.0 grain Predator GTO alloy pellets crack 1,042.6 feet per second. Standard 7.0 grain RWS Hobby lead stabilizes at 965.2 feet per second. Heavy 10.65 grain H&N Barracuda match pellets generate 17.67 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, fully ethical and effective for small game and pest control at field distances. The rifle is not pellet picky either. Benjamin match grade single die 177 delivered the absolute best precision during field tests, but the prospect shot well across every projectile thrown at it. All-metal construction over polymer receivers. Side lever action feeding a 12-round rotary magazine in 177. Fully shrouded barrel with a built-in suppressor and a half-inch 20-threaded muzzle for an external silencer. Pressure gauge mounted safely on the underside of the stock. No looking down the barrel to check your fill level. Ambidextrous push-pull manual safety inside the trigger guard. A dedicated degassing rod and Allen key included in the box. At $370, the feature checklist reads like a rifle costing twice as much. Now, the deal breaker. That side lever is heavy, and the tip of the lever lacks aggressive texturing. During rapid cycling, your fingers slip, and a slipped lever on a rotary magazine means double feeds. Frustrating, time-wasting double feeds, right when you are trying to run a quick follow-up shot on a pest. The factory trigger compounds this. Long first stage, visible creep in the second stage, sear break that feels rough straight out of the box. For a rifle this consistent on the chronograph, the manual interface does not match the internal precision. The damage to your wallet is $369.99. But wait, the absolute slug-slinging, regulation rewriting monster sitting at number 1 makes even this look like a warm-up act. You are not ready. Rank 2, Benjamin Bulldog M357, entering the elite tier. Most airgunners will never need what the Bulldog M357 delivers. And that is exactly the point. There is a category of hunter in this country. The whitetail hunter navigating thick creek bottom brush. The hog hunter running thermal optics at 2 in the morning. The man who needs to put down a 300-pound feral pig quickly, cleanly, and without question, who cannot afford a miss. Cannot afford a wounded animal disappearing into darkness. For that shooter, the Bulldog M357 is not a novelty. It is a tool with a specific serious job. 300 foot-pounds of muzzle energy out of a 36-inch bullpup. Let that land for a moment. Velocity Outdoors engineers took the original Bulldog platform and augmented raw power output by 50% over the previous generation. Physical chronograph testing with heavy 147 grain slugs produced an average of 269.2 foot-pounds. Running 145 grain Nosler Extreme slugs, the number settles at 234.9 foot-pounds. Accuracy at 25 yards produces 5-shot groups well under 1 inch center to center with the Nosler slugs, under 2 inches with the heavier 147 grain variants. Users have reported dropping spike bucks at 60 yards with standard lung shots. That is not airgun performance. That is rifle performance in a 36-inch package weighing 10 pounds 14 ounces with a scope mounted. The platform that makes this possible is a premium German Lothar Walther barrel. cast lead projectiles of this mass and diameter require a barrel with absolute concentricity to stabilize rapidly upon exit. The Lothar Walther delivers that without compromise. A continuous top Picatinny rail runs the full length of the receiver, providing virtually unlimited flexibility for mounting heavy thermal or night vision optics. The Bulldog M357 fills via a male Foster fitting to just 3,000 psi, meaningfully lower than the 3,625 psi demanded by other platforms on this list. That lower pressure ceiling means your portable carbon fiber tank delivers significantly more complete fills before pressure equalization, extending field time between compressor runs on a dark hog lease. For those requiring even more terminal devastation, the platform scales. A .457 caliber Bulldog variant exists, capable of taking African plains game. Now, the deal breaker, this rifle is entirely unregulated. Every single shot drops approximately 20 feet per second from the previous one. 5 shots per magazine. And after those 5 shots, you top off the reservoir or your next group prints low at distance. That is not a workflow, that is a discipline. Hunters who forget that discipline on a follow-up shot on wounded game will feel the consequences. The triangular shroud carries no internal baffles. Extended range sessions without ear protection will remind you of that fact in a way your audiologist will confirm later. And that rear-mounted side lever requires a full break of cheek weld and firing grip to cycle. Rapid follow-up shots are not this rifle's language. Street price is $929.99. Closer to the crown now, one platform left. One platform that took everything every rifle on this list does well, and did it better, cheaper, and with a BSA hammer-forged barrel pointed at the heart of the European airgun industry. Rank 1, Benjamin Marauder Gen 3. There it is, the throne. For 30 years, the Benjamin Marauder name meant one thing: the best-selling PCP air rifle in America. Reliable, quiet, accessible. A rifle that introduced an entire generation to pre-charged pneumatics and never apologized for being exactly what it was. The Gen 3 is not that rifle. The Gen 3 is what happens when an engineering team looks at every critique ever written about the Gen 2. Every limitation ever posted on every airgun forum, every dollar lost to European competitors, and decides to burn the blueprint down and start over. Clean sheet. Zero shared parts with the Gen 2. Built in Bloomfield, New York, masterminded by senior design engineer John Solpietro under the direction of Sean Pragal. This is not an update. This is a declaration. Here is the architecture that makes every other rifle on this list reconsider its position. A 500cc HPA bottle, the same massive air reserve that gives the gunner its impressive shot count, feeds directly into an 80cc internal plenum. That plenum volume is the critical number. The Kratos at rank 4 runs a 480cc bottle with no regulator, delivering 40 shots before consistency drifts. The Gen 3 runs a 500cc bottle with an 80cc plenum staged by a factory regulator conservatively set between 1,000 and 1,400 psi and delivers 150 regulated shots per fill at standard power. 150. The Kratos gives you 40. The Prospect gives you 67. The Gen 3 gives you 150, with lower standard deviation than either of them. That is not an incremental improvement. That is a different category of rifle, wearing the same price neighborhood as its competition. Now dial that externally adjustable regulator and hammer spring tension up. No disassembly required to increase pressure. Simply turn the external dial, and the Gen 3 pushes 50 foot-pounds in .22 caliber, 75 yards on medium game, ethical and clean. Step to .25 caliber, and the number climbs to 80 foot-pounds. The Bulldog M357 at rank 2 delivers 300 foot-pounds for dedicated large game hunting. That is its specific, irreplaceable mission. But for every hunting application below that threshold, the Gen 3 covers the same ground the Bulldog covers, adds a regulator the Bulldog will never have, and does it with a rifle that does not demand a top-off after every 5 shots. The barrel seals the argument, BSA hammer forged. The same barrel technology that costs European boutique manufacturers a fortune to source, integrated vertically within the Velocity Outdoor corporate structure, reducing cost without reducing precision. The hammer forging process beats a steel blank around a rifled mandrel, producing a hardened, highly concentric bore that resists the harmonic whip that plagues thinner, button-rifled airgun barrels. Point this barrel at a target at 100 yards, and it rivals platforms costing twice the price. That is not marketing language. That is the reason the Gen 3 exists. Ergonomically, the Gen 3 eliminated every friction point the Gen 2 created. The rear bolt, gone. Replaced with a silky, reversible side lever that cycles without breaking cheek weld. 14-round magazine in 22 caliber, 12 rounds in 25. Trigger pack entirely redesigned. Highly adjustable 2-stage unit configurable as a single-stage brake, moving completely away from the complex striker adjustments that frustrated Gen 2 owners for years. Push-across crossbolt safety, replacing the old trigger guard lever. Adjustable cheek piece. Sling swivel studs standard. Barrel threaded for a moderator. Overall length 45.6 inches. Bare weight 9.2 pounds. $829.99. Compare that number to what you just read. 500cc bottle, 80cc plenum, BSA hammer forged barrel, externally adjustable regulator, reversible side lever, 150 regulated shots. By intentionally leaving out electronic triggers and digital pressure gauges, Velocity Outdoor kept this rifle under $1,000 without removing a single feature that actually matters in the field. The Crosman 3622 proved entry-level PCPs can be serious tools. The prospect-proved regulated consistency does not require a premium price tag. The Kratos proved American brands can match European aesthetics. The Bulldog M357 proved Benjamin can build a legitimate hunting tool for North American big game. The Gen 3 Marauder looked at all 4 of those arguments and answered every single one of them in a single platform. That is what a king does. 5 rifles, one lineup that just made a lot of European boardrooms very uncomfortable. Benjamin and Crosman did not come to play in 2026. They came to take the throne. From a $130 hand pump PCP that shoots like it costs 4 times as much, to a clean sheet flagship that rewrote what a sub-$1,000 air rifle is supposed to be capable of. The king has been crowned. You know where to find us. Watch your windage. I am out.